What's going on, guys? This is Saturday Afternoon Wrestling, and it is a great day to talk about wrestling because we are weeks away from WrestleMania 41. We are 1 week away from AEW Dynasty, and it feels like we are hitting a very good groove with both of these major companies. So, a lot to get to. I have a lot I want to talk about with WrestleMania in particular coming up so soon. A little bit with AEW first that I'd like to go over. Specifically with their women's division. There was a lot of news this week that came out about their women's division. Kind of seems like they might be in a state of rebuilding or like retooling it a bit. So I want to talk about that a bit, and then I'll leave the rest of the AEW stuff till next week with the Dynasty preview, just to make sure everything gets equal time, because I do think that they have been on a very good run as of late. In particular, they had that show that they did in Omaha that was impacted by the blizzard, where it felt like kind of like, I hate saying this because it sounds like such an online like buzzy thing to say, but like it really felt like old AEW with like that bootstraps kind of mentality of like, okay, well, some people aren't here, so we're gonna have matches you wouldn't think that go longer than you would expect, and like it just kind of it worked out really nice for them, and I feel like they've been riding that momentum since then, and so it's been really strong for the most part. Um, but like I said, we'll get to all of that next week, talking about Dynasty, previewing Dynasty. But I do want to talk about their women's division because this week we had three contract related stories come out about three, I would say, top women in their division. First, the biggest news is probably that Mariah May, the report says she is in a contract year, which is weird. It's a weird phrase to use for wrestling because a contract year in sports, like in the NBA or NFL or anything like that, means you are going into a year that is the last year on your contract. And so people always try really hard so they can get the best contract possible because that's it. That's their last year before their contract is up. And so the contract year is often like the best year of a lot of guys' careers because they're trying the hardest. And for wrestling, it just doesn't work that way. There's no off season. It's not like there's anything like that. So saying Mariah May is in a contract year makes me think that like she's actively negotiating her deal right now. And I've seen a lot of people speculate that she could be gone. She could be gone from the company, based on how the Hollywood ending, the trilogy ender with Tony Storm played out, how definitive that was. We have not seen or heard from her since. She posted on social media, but that's been it. There's been like the highlight packages, but no real mention about her. And if she were to leave for WWE, which I would imagine would be the only place she would consider going, because that's the only place that would probably pay her what she is looking to make and what she rightfully would deserve, um, it'd be a huge loss to AEW. But I really wonder how she would fit in WWE because her character, I've seen a lot of people make the comparisons to Tiffany Stratton, and I think that that's kind of like way off base. It's mostly probably because they're both really athletic blonde wrestlers that have worn a lot of pink in the past. I don't really think character wise, work wise, anything like that, they're really even close to similar. I think about, just how like vicious and hardcore Mariah May was in that Tony Storm storyline and in this whole feud, and like how the viciousness and the brutality of it is what really sold this feud. So I don't see there being a world where she can go to WWE and feud with someone to the point that she's like busting their head open with a shoe, or the glass spot in the end of the last match where they stuck their taped hands into broken champagne bottles and swung at each other. Like there's a level of brutality that she brings to her stories and her matches that I don't think would translate to WWE. So I'd be curious what it looks like taking her character or some version of this character to WWE. Obviously, I think she's talented enough to make it work, but I think she's talented enough that Tony Khan knows like we cannot let her leave. There's a report going around at this point. Actually, now it's confirmed that Mina Shirakawa is going to be signing with AEW in the coming weeks. She's finishing up with Stardom and then is going to come over and wrestle for AEW full time, which is a huge boost for them as well. And I've seen a lot of people talk about, they should do something where they have AEW women's tag team titles and then just let Mariah and Mina be the ones to like inaugurate them, basically be the first champs and then just have the first run and go from there. And I mean, honestly, that's a great idea. Everyone, I think, loves the two of them together. But if she's on the way out and they know she's on the way out and they're minimizing all mentions of her and then they're making a huge deal about Mina Shirakawa coming over and like highlighting all of this stuff, not to mention pushing Megan Bayne to the moon, who is another blonde wrestler that just goes out and destroys people. She's going to be in the Dynasty women's match against Toni Storm, already competing for the title. So it's clear they have a lot planned for her. And it wouldn't surprise me if they were, hey, we can't take the risk that Mariah May is just going to leave. So let's just push her to the side and give Megan Bayne all of the Mariah May stuff. I don't think it's like an exact one-for-one thing by any means, but it wouldn't surprise me if there was some overlap there, or if there's some like, well, we have Megan Bayne now, who is a powerhouse for the women's division. Let's just push her, and maybe we can afford if Mariah May leaves or tries to get more money or anything like that. And this is all rampant speculation. I at the end of the day, I want her to go wrestle wherever she thinks she's going to be able to wrestle the best and make as much money as possible. But she's not the only one with interesting contract news going on. Saraya this last week released a book, launched a podcast, and revealed that she was no longer working with AEW. She has not been seen in weeks, months really. And this is one where it's like the writing was kind of on the wall here. Like after she dropped the title, that was kind of like, okay, I don't really know what else there is for her to do at this moment. Like take some time. I guess now we know too, she was recording a podcast and writing a book. I have not listened to or read either of those things yet. So if you're following either of those, let me know how it is. Let me know if any of it's worth picking up, checking out. But I have not, and she's someone who's in such an interesting spot because she would always go right back to WWE. I don't know what the world of opportunities looks like outside of wrestling. If her podcast is going to just be like a more wrestling related thing, or if it's going to be like a wider scope of bringing in different types of guests and people to kind of come on and share stories, that could open up a lot of avenues too, to where maybe she just doesn't want to go wrestle. I don't know if WWE's doctors would clear her at this point because they didn't clear her before, even though AEW's did. Like that was part of why she left WWE. So there's a whole bunch of stuff going on. Would she come back in like a managerial role or like a GM role like she was doing before? Do people like, what's the interest level there? Obviously she has her fans, her devoted fans, but it's just a lot of interesting things. I wonder if they'd bring her back for like one big like, here's a SummerSlam angle, let's do this, and then you can go do whatever you need to do. And then third, and this isn't really like a confirmed contract thing, this is more wild speculation, but Dr. Britt Baker removed AEW from all of her social media, and so people are starting to think maybe her time there is coming to an end too. And that's kind of why I say it seems like a shakeup on the women's division side, because you have three stars of the division now that are either in negotiations, gone, or we don't know what's going on. And it feels like Britt Baker is someone who, when you consider, like, they used to call her a pillar for AEW, like how fast things can change. It's crazy. It's crazy to see because she was a champion for a long time. Like I said, one of the pillars, or considered one of the pillars. And it felt like she got hurt and came back from her injury, and like the game had completely changed. Like the women's division had like grown farther and faster than she had because she had been hurt. There was no growing with it. She was just kind of thrown back into it. And it feels like, I hate to say it feels like someone like it passed them by because she's still so young and still, has tons of time to learn and improve and everything. But the thing that really I don't know what to think of is if she would go to WWE, because obviously, there's more places to go than just WWE, but as it's the biggest competitor, it's the biggest company in wrestling. Obviously, I feel bad always saying, well, they can go here, well, they can go do this, but I don't know, because she said some things about WWE in the past, specifically about the Performance Center and NXT, and how they just bring in gymnasts and people that don't know how to wrestle, and it's not the same. So I cannot see her going to the Performance Center and NXT and like learning the WWE style. Like I imagine like Jade Cargill leaving AEW, going to WWE. There's a huge deal about her signing with them. We don't see her for months. She's working and training and everything for months, and we hear Triple H saying like, "Well, she didn't really learn how to do everything at the other place. So, like, we kind of have to teach her everything." And I don't see that happening with Britt Baker. And this might be like buying into the backstage reputations and things that you hear, but I have a hard time believing if any of the stories about her and like clashes she has had backstage are true. A hard time believing she's going to go sit in NXT for 3 or 4 or 5 months, potentially not even on the show, just in the Performance Center working. I don't know. And who knows? This could all be a smokescreen. It could all be negotiations. It could all be she just doesn't, she's done with Red. Like, who knows? But it's interesting to see them all come up at the same time. And then, like I said, we got news of Mina Shirakawa coming. And then Collision tonight, Saturday night, had Billy Starks in a match, which it was great to see her again. I'm very happy to see her getting more time. But it also brought out Athena finally back on AEW television after months at least, maybe a year. I should have checked, but months at least away. Dominating Ring of Honor as the longest reigning Ring of Honor champion ever. She's having match after match after match that are just classics. And she's doing like some of the best work in women's wrestling. I think if it wasn't for Timeless Tony Storm, she would be like far and away like the top women's wrestler right now. She's undeniable. And so it's so good to see her on AEW TV, on the bigger shows, and going right into what looks like it's going to be a feud with Mercedes Moné. Like, that's a huge spot. And I hope this isn't just like a bring her up for like the time being, just to, give Mercedes something to do, and then her and Billy go back to Ring of Honor. I would love to see them getting more. And it feels like that's not a coincidence that stories come out about 3 of their top recognizable names being in flux with the company, and then they call in like the aces they have up their sleeve in Billy Starks and Athena, because the Billy Starks Mercedes match from 2 weeks ago was unbelievable. It's insane to sit here and think that Billy Starks is like 20 years old and has wrestled like 500 plus matches, whatever it is they said, and just looks like a seasoned pro, basically doing these matches with these like big name competitors. There's just no learning curve, and that's part of the benefit of a Ring of Honor and of the indie scene and everything. But she has aced these tests so far as she has been presented them, and an Athena Mercedes match, or really anyone you can put her up against, are going to be good matches as well, because that's kind of just been the run that Athena has been on. It's been match after match of just like high quality, compelling storytelling. So I'm really happy about that. I'm excited to see that. I think it's long overdue to have them back into this fold, into the main women's division. But like I said, I don't know if this is like a permanent thing going forward. This is a distraction to pull away attention from some of the headlines. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But at the same time, I'm going to just enjoy every bit of it, because this is maybe the strongest the AEW women's division has been in a long time. So that's all I really wanted to talk about today with AEW. That was a huge thing that's been on my mind with all of the news and everything going on. Like I said, we'll get into all of that and more next week with the Dynasty preview. But I wanted to make sure to shout that out, because those are 3 big names, and whether they go to WWE or somewhere else, like them popping up somewhere new would be a huge thing. Like, imagine Mariah May pops up like the night after the Raw after WrestleMania or something, and challenges whoever wins between Tiffany and Charlotte, or whoever wins between Io, Rhea, and Bianca. Like, right there, it's crazy to imagine. So we'll keep an eye on all that. If something happens, obviously, before any of the shows, before WrestleMania or Dynasty or anything, then maybe pop back on and record a short update or something. But keep your eyes out for that. It kind of seems like we're gonna have some dominoes falling pretty quickly, I would imagine, because I would imagine they wouldn't want to keep any of them really like free agents for too long. And on the WWE side of things, what I really wanted to talk about is this build to WrestleMania that we have been on. I saw a report earlier today that WrestleMania 41 ticket sales are under expectation. It's not selling as fast as previous Manias, and it's not selling as much as previous Manias so far. And I was kind of thinking about, well, part of it's probably because it's Las Vegas, and Las Vegas isn't the most family and kid-friendly space. Like, yes, of course, there's plenty of things for families to do, but when you think about, like, casinos and the Strip and all of the, like, you don't think, like, family. Like, they'll like, keep kids moving in casino. There's no stopping and looking around, and the Allegiant Stadium is right there near the Strip. So, like, I don't know. I think that might be a part of it. But it got me thinking about the build to this show and kind of how it's been so far, because it feels like there's a lot of stuff that's in flux. But before I run through that really quick, I do want to shout out this European tour that they've been on. I'm a huge fan of Monday Night Raw starting at 12 or 1 o'clock my time. And I can just sit here at this desk and work and have it on and watch it at the same time. Like, it's a game changer. It's wonderful to have. So I've really enjoyed that. And obviously the crowds are another level. I think I've seen more now than ever before how polarizing people find them. Like, there's a lot of people that love it, love the chants, and love the cheering and how passionate they all are. Then I've seen a lot of people that don't like it and think that the fans are just trying to, like, hijack the show and get themselves over. So I don't know. I'm kind of fully envisioning, like, when we're back in the US, it's going to be nothing but what chants and, like, no reactions. So, like, I kind of love seeing the hyper animated reactions in times. And that's something that I've kind of grown into as well. I think a couple years ago, maybe even last year, I think I made a video about the crowd not, like, letting Finn Balor speak, or the crowd serenading Cody and AJ Styles so long that, like, their segment got cut short, like stuff like that. But I've kind of come around on that. I love seeing the passion of the fans and just how, like, crazy the energy is. That's something that, like, I would have never thought that I would want to, like, travel overseas to go watch a wrestling show, but, like, I've been convinced. Like, if I was going somewhere and there was a wrestling show in the neighborhood, I would certainly not hesitate to go. And something that they did on this tour that has been just a work of genius has been the way that they have used John Cena. Because after Elimination Chamber and after he turned heel and beat down Cody Rhodes, we just did not see him. And the first time we saw him was the first Raw of this European tour. And he came out and he cut a really good promo. And they booed the hell out of this man. It was like ECW One Night Stand all over again, but just louder and longer. They just did not let him get a word in. And that promo was really good. But then this week he returned, came out again and cut a promo that I honestly, like, I love that he did it, but it's also kind of hard to ignore the parallels of it. So he came out and he cut this promo and he basically said, like, you people are so easy to read because you don't change. You wear everything on your face. It's so easy to play you. I know exactly what I have to say to get you mad or to get you to cheer, because there's no substance to you, and I'll never forgive you for ruining my best idea, which was the spinner title belt years ago that you all hated online, and now everyone loves it, and you treated it like it was a toy and like it was a joke, and it was this thing that was really serious to me. So because you did that, because I know now that the only thing you care about are the sanctity of titles, of championship titles, what I'm going to do is I'm going to win the title at WrestleMania. I'm going to win it from Cody, and then I'm going to retire. I'm going to take it with me, and I'm going to retire. I'm going to ruin wrestling because they're going to have to put out another belt that everyone is going to know is the fake belt because everyone's going to know John Cena has the right one, the real one. And it was great. It was a great angle for him to work. The line of "I'm going to ruin wrestling for you and for everyone" is an all-time line. It's a great through line here, and it adds so much to this match. And it added more than I even realized. Like, the more I think about it after the fact and talk with people about it after the fact, it added so much to it. And I think part of that is because we've seen this before. He's running the Summer of Punk game plan because it was John Cena who lost to CM Punk that led to that moment at Money in the Bank in Chicago in 2011, I want to say, where Punk gets the title, blows Vince McMahon a kiss, and then leaves through the crowd and presumably out of the company. And then the whole story is WWE doesn't have a title, so then they pull out another one and they make a new title, and then Punk comes back the night that title is given out, is awarded, and then you have the two titles thing. And I don't know if that's what they're going to do with this Cena storyline. I don't know if they're going to go beat for beat with it just because of how integral he was to that Punk storyline. It was the two of them that were fighting for it most of the time. So I don't know if they're going to go all the way to that extent with it just to avoid the comparisons. But the threat of him getting it and leaving, and I think even more than that, like saying he would retire with it, makes me think that like the threat is going to be cutting into this retirement tour. Because what he said in Money in the Bank or was it Survivors, when he said in November, but when he announced his retirement and this tour, was that it was going to be all year. It wasn't going to just be he wrestles at WrestleMania and that's it, he's done. He's going to wrestle all year. And so threatening to retire, threatening to cut the retirement tour short and take the title adds an unpredictability to it. Because like I can see a world where he wins. I can kind of see a world now where he loses too, which seems kind of crazy to say, but he loses and gets even more vicious and desperate to win because he needs that title. He needs that validation from breaking the reign, or the record, I should say, for Ric Flair's title reigns. So I don't know. It's added so much to it because I would have said before it was 100% no brainer, lock of the century that he was going to win after that heel turn, but I really don't know. I will be interested to see what else happens because I don't think he has any more advertised dates until WrestleMania. So I don't know what they're going to do. I know last year, The Rock's unexpected appearances were a huge boost to the storyline. That's where we got him showing up and beating up Cody Rhodes out in the rain to end Raw. Like that was an unannounced like appearance. And so like the element of surprise is going to be a huge part here, especially when you're working with such like established and big names. But I'm really interested what this week to week is going to look like if he's not involved at all, or like except for maybe 1 week between now and April 19th or April 20th, since that'll be the main event for night 2. I'm curious to see what it's going to look like, if he's via satellite, if he's pre-tape, anything. And The Rock, we haven't really heard anything about The Rock. And like this is the main event for WrestleMania Night 2. This is the big match. And it feels like there's so much that is like still left unknown. We have the why. We have this great motivation for John Cena and this great anger fueling him now, which is bringing out the fire in Cody Rhodes to defend his company, like his home turf, his passion. And so that's great. I love that. But otherwise, there's so many things that are just still in limbo. And that brings me back to the show not selling as much as previous Manias so far. And this perceived lack of buzz that it has so far. And I think part of it too, I forgot to mention this before, part of it too could be because it is Easter weekend. WrestleMania Night 2 is Easter Sunday. And like, that's made it hard for me, like thinking about, oh, do I go and go out to Vegas and check it out, or stay home and watch it and do all the like everything, all the Easter activities and things with family, be with family. And you know, I'm sure I'm not the only one that's thinking like that, that's thinking about that. So they might be playing a part in it too. I don't know how big a part, because so many people are traveling all from all over the world to go to WrestleMania. So maybe, maybe it's something where people are waiting to see what else gets added, what else happens, because I looked at this match card and there's not a lot so far. So night one, we have got Randy Orton versus Kevin Owens and CM Punk, Seth Rollins, and Roman Reigns in the main event, in what was confirmed to be the main event, which was a very nice moment. CM Punk and Paul Heyman. Punk super emotional, tears in his eyes. Heyman sounding like he was holding back tears as well. It was a really cool moment. It was really nice to see. But that's it so far for night one. That's all that's confirmed. Night two, Cody and John Cena is all that is confirmed. And so far announced, but not on a given night yet. We don't know what night yet. We have Gunther and Jey Uso, which has been getting a lot of mixed reviews. Fans seem to be getting a little tired of Jey Uso, which I don't like. I want to see him, get back into that main event form. Obviously, super over with the crowd and the entrance and stuff, and with younger fans. But I want to see him get that fire back and get back into that initial part of that main event Jey Uso run where he was, people were really starting to come around on him. And then the other two matches that don't have a spot yet are the women's matches. It's the triple threat with Io, Bianca, and Rhea. And then it's the SmackDown women's match with Charlotte Flair and Tiffany Stratton. And those don't have a spot yet. And then there's a long list of titles and wrestlers that don't have matches yet. There's Braun Breaker is not on the card yet in a confirmed way. The Intercontinental title in LA Knight is not confirmed. The tag titles of the Street Profits are not confirmed. The tag titles with the War Raiders are not confirmed. There's a bunch of stars. The stars that haven't even been mentioned yet for WrestleMania include Sami Zayn, Alexa Bliss and the Wyatt Six, Bayley. There's a lot of big names that are have nothing yet. We know there's probably going to be Logan Paul and AJ Styles. And we know there's probably going to be some sort of multi-man match for the Intercontinental title that Braun Breaker has. But other than that, there are a lot of holes in this card, and there are a lot of names that are not there yet. And we're, I think, 3 weeks away now from WrestleMania. Obviously, they can build things in short time, but 3 weeks to build a full story and a feud big enough for WrestleMania. Even Lyra Valkyria and the women's Intercontinental title. I just thought about that. That's not anywhere yet. And her run has been great match-wise, but bad, promotional-wise. I feel like she is definitely not getting the same treatment and push as other title holders are for WWE from either show. And she's consistently having incredible matches. Becky Lynch is still someone as well. We don't know her status and what's going on. It's just crazy right now. It feels like there's so much influx that has to be impacting these ticket sales and this buzz, because it's this slower, deliberate storytelling has been something that I've really enjoyed. And this shorter cards with longer match times is something that I think has worked out very well. I love the contrast of, okay, we're going to get a nice 3-hour WWE show with 5, maybe 6, but probably 5, maybe even 4 matches that each get 20 or so plus minutes. And then the AEW side of things, where it's here's 16, 17 matches, including pre-show, and a 5-hour marathon. Have at it. It feels like a nice balance of styles there. And so I'm wondering if WrestleMania, even as the biggest show, even as a 2-night thing now, if they're still trying to take this less is more. Because if honestly, if it's going to come down to, we have a triple threat on night one with Punk, Reigns, and Rollins. We have a triple threat the second night with the women's match. We have, a mixed, or not a mixed, but we have a grab bag fatal 4-way or ladder match or something for the US titles and the Intercontinental title. It's going to just look like 2 nights of the same formats, but with different people. And I just don't see WWE doing that. I don't see them carbon copying exactly how it's going to be. Oh, tag match here, title match here. Here's the women's match. Here's the triple threat match. Here's the gimmick match. I just can't see them doing it exactly one for one like that. And so I'm interested to see how the title pictures kind of come into focus here. Because there's also the SmackDown before now. The SmackDown before WrestleMania has become a spot for them to have big matches, big title changes, big title matches. They've been doing it with all the PLEs, but WrestleMania for sure is one where they would do like the Friday night tag team title change to like set the stage for the rest of WrestleMania. And it just feels like there's a lot of unknowns, and it's weird to have this many unknowns weeks away from WrestleMania when we've had so long with some of these matches. Like, we've known about Jey Uso and Gunther since the Royal Rumble at the end of January. Like, that is a long time to know about that. And then the Women's Royal Rumble, Charlotte Flair, we knew about that right after that happened as well. So those matches have been getting plenty of development and storytelling, but other things just aren't. And I don't know if there's a lot of feuds right now that are even going, like, outside of the Intercontinental title and Braun Breaker, Penta, Finn Balor, and Dominic Mysterio, like, being like 4 locks to be in a match together at this point with how it's been booked. Like, there's not a whole lot that I can really like just guess based on what I'm seeing. Like I said, that and the Logan Paul AJ Styles match. So it's a lot of just predicting, but I'm just interested. I'm interested on all these names that aren't included, what they might do, because you can't have a show without some of these people. I just have a hard time imagining a WrestleMania without Bayley. We have Naomi doing incredible heel work now after attacking Jade Cargill. But who knows? That might be a SmackDown main event match the night before WrestleMania instead of on the actual Mania card. And that'd be a bummer to see. Like, these are like the work Naomi has done in the few weeks since this heel turn has been top notch. It's been incredible to see, and I would like to see that rewarded on the highest stage. I've never a bad time to have more like underutilized talent getting those big spots and getting those big moments. So I'm very interested to see what the next 2 weeks looks like. Like, I can't imagine we go into the go home week of shows without at least like 4 matches, 5 matches confirmed for each night. Like, I just refuse to believe that would happen. And especially with so many names just missing. And there's a chance, some of these, Becky Lynch might wait until after WrestleMania, like the Raw after Mania or the SmackDown after Mania, to debut or to return, if she is returning. And then you have, like I said earlier, like I was talking about the women who, we don't know what their status is with AEW. Would they bring in someone like that from outside of WWE before WrestleMania and shake things up that way? Or would they wait so that they're not, cramping anyone's style or stepping on anyone's feet? It's really interesting. It's a really interesting thing to see this kind of being figured out in real time, when it feels like these things are usually so far ahead planned out, like so mapped out ahead of time. And I don't know. I like I said, I'm probably the wrong person to ask, because I really do enjoy a lot of what they've been doing so far, storytelling wise, week to week. I think it's just the bigger picture. The sooner we get a clearer picture of it, the better it's going to be. I don't know though. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know what you think, either in the comments or email, whatever's easier, whatever you'd prefer. Let me know what you've thought about this WrestleMania build so far. If you're enjoying it, or if there's someone that you really like that just hasn't been mentioned or used or anything, and so you're kind of like, well, what's going on? Just let me know. Let me know your thoughts, what you're thinking and what you're seeing. Like, if you thought about going, but have decided against it because of something or another, or if something would convince you to go. Anything like that at all. Any thoughts on wrestling, on WWE, on Mania, please feel free to share them, to send them in. But that is, I think, everything that I had. That's everything on my note sheet. So I will get out of here. I will stop talking everybody's ears off. But I sincerely appreciate everyone that is listening or watching. I hope everyone here has a great week. We'll be back next week, next Friday or Saturday, to discuss AEW Dynasty with a full preview and predictions, and then whatever else might happen in the world of WWE on this build to WrestleMania 41. Of course, we will have that as well. So in the meantime, thank you very much for listening, and I will talk to you soon.